find himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So you're off in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's touched on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
He's
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the opening round of the third season of Evolution Sim Racing. It's the GT3s, and we're in Canada for the opening round with nearly 50 drivers racing and over 100 points to be won this evening. Many drivers hoping to start the championship off well. And of course, you know, it always sounds to be in good stead to get a good run going early. My name is Darragh Thacker. Joining me in the box is Mr. Dean Biggles, pressing all of the buttons. And we're looking forward to this one. 2 30-minute long races and big grids, Dean. This should be a cracker.
Big grids, exactly. And of course, we are going to be broadcasting this live as if we're watching the race live. But unfortunately, because of technical issues last week, it just was out of our hands and didn't look good from a broadcasting perspective as well, too. So we're going to do it right now again. So this time around, to the drivers themselves can actually sit back, get some popcorn, and watch themselves go around the track. That'll be fun. And speaking of which, so the qualifying has been done and dusted. We didn't replay the qualifying. That worked perfectly fine over on the other channel. Well, the previous broadcast. But this is the grid, and we will go into our first race, heat, of course, and then we'll go on to our feature race. That was the issues that we had. And oh my God, the driver still again did not appear correctly. But if you'd like to go over those qualifying for us, please.
Yes, Jan Silbert is on pole. Joe Newman in second. Tristan Dunobrega will line up P3. Piers Berry fourth. And Henry Nackery in the top five. Luke Lucchese sixth. Pugh in seventh. And Cowdershaw eighth with Hoyland, Demai, Terha and Nathan Crook in 12th. There's a lot more names coming for you. Of course, close gaps as well in qualifying. Small tracks, so of course, close gaps. Joe Sparrow is in 13th, that's in the second off the leading time. Joe Glass in 14th with Ewan Stitchbury and Victor Brown, Javier Talavera and Paul Robson, Renee Stangl, Peter Koch running out the top 20. Stephen Donnelly and Matt Barnett are in the top half with Lucien Saraka Dessler and Marcel Breitenbach. You'd have thought with a few days I would have been able to nail that, but there we go. We'll give it another go soon. Matthew Jones, Daniel Nance, Robert Hamilton with Gareth Newton, James Rankin, Gary Mitchell, James Bostock, Jeremy Orlemans, Alex Fretwell, John LeBrook, Robin Aston and Stephen Cakebread in the top 36. And the final starters, Dennis Collar, Tom Anderson, Alex Kernratz, Chris Keenan, Rob McKee, Ashley Brooks, Graham Matthew, Mark Robinson, and James Pallow. Now, of course, as you mentioned, I think it should be noted that me and you, we've been, you know, Men in Black styled, had our minds wiped, haven't we? We haven't got a clue what's going to happen over the next hour or so. So we're looking forward to this one. But, of course, with Albert starting from pole position, it'd be interesting to see if he can carry out Joe Newman as well in P2. He's got some pace on him, the two at the front with the Lamborghinis, but they are going to start behind the pace car, of course, on the back stretch after the hairpin. But it's such a long grid, isn't it, Dean, that some of these guys won't even be on the start line or on the start straight before the lights go green.
Yes, exactly. It's if you're right at the back there in the car 45, you've got a lot of cars up the road to have a look at. Actually, I think we did end up with one of the drivers. You can see right there on that angle that the cars are just absolutely stacked up. All the fantastic liveries as well too. And we did address that Giannani is in the pro class essentially, so that's was fixed actually. So it's returned back to cause its gremlin again, unfortunately. But that's the driver in the 137 machine in number 12.
Technology, our best friend and our worst enemy at the same time, as always. But there we go. Pace car is getting us underway. It will be Yanis who will lead us away. Joe Newman in P2 and Tristan Dunobrega in P3. Of course, you're looking down for some of the second class drivers. You're looking at Nathan Crook, Joe Glass, Javier Talavera down there. We'll see if any of them can get a good start. Good start to their championship, of course. Different classes in the Evolution Sim Racing Championship, but 50 points for a race 1 win, 65 points for a race 2 win, so 50 points up for grabs. But of course, top 13, but Albert will be hoping to start from 13th because he will have won this race. But we'll see if he can carry it out. 30 minutes of racing on the way. When will Yannis Albert get us underway? You can see everyone on chicane past the Wall of Champions. They'll be going through there a fair few times this evening. Looks like someone's tried to go in the background, but Yannis Albert gets us underway then as we run down towards turn 1. Joe Newman is a long way off the back actually, and he might be under a bit of pressure from Piers Berry, who's looking around the outside, but he's also defending from Tristan de Nobrega as they run through the opening corners for the first time this evening. Yannis Albert, though, nice lead as they run down towards this first little chicane of 3 and 4 of the lap. 3 chicanes, of course, through the lap of 3 and 4, and then just before we arrive at 6 and 7, you come through turn 5. We've seen some crashes down here through the years, but the top guys have got through here all right this time around. But Yannis Albert, good start, Dean, and Joe Newman's got some work to do to try and catch him.
Yep, that was a fantastic start between the drivers already. You can see at the moment the gainers and losers throughout that one. You have to say Christopher DeMay there gets fourth places up at the moment, currently running a P6 is a great start, as well as Joe Glass that gets just an overtaker further at the back there on Matt Hoyland. So, of course, Joe Glass in a different category at the moment, performing quite well. I think we were having a little chat to Joe Glass before in the Discord as they venture a little bit closer to the fence, down the Laping and down to the casino straight. Great camera angle, of course. They try to show you all as many cars. We're not going to get all those cars in the one camera shot because they're still following their way around. There's a great little squabble at the back there at the moment too. I was going to say between 3 or 4 drivers. This is back to Matthew Jones and the like. Jeremy.
Good fighting back there, isn't there? They're 3-4 wide down into the hairpin. You don't often see that, but with so many cars on the track, you just have so much congestion on the roads. Of course, this is a artificial island in Montreal. Of course, about 60, 70 years ago, this track was in the middle of the river, but it now is on the straight and narrow in the dry land that is the island in the middle of the river. But we look down, Javier Talavera looking like he's trying to make smooth, currently P15. He's got Matt Bennett behind him, but Gianni Terhar in front. No, he's not, because Gianni Terhar's had a bit of a mistake on the exit of turn 3. Might have a slowdown penalty there, because he is slipping down the order as they run down towards 3 and 4. We look at Paul Howlishaw on the run down towards 6 and 7. He's on the back of Christophe Demay in that very nice looking purple and black livery machine. And Demay has lost quite a bit of time to Luke Lucchese up in front. But Yannis Albert and Joe Newman still very close together at the moment. There's not much between the front two. Let's run through this third chicane of the lap. Of course, 8 and 9 down towards the hairpin at 10. Good overtaking opportunity, but we'll look back to John Ludbrook here as they're 2x2 it seems, as they run back towards this back straight. Look at the cars all over the road as they run down towards this chicane. Can anyone make moves? Will they all get through? That's the question. They won't want to make big mistakes here and lose their rear end, but that's a bit deep there from someone in the background. Alex Fretwell looking keen to get through on John Ludbrook here as well, with Henry Nackery having an awful start just behind him. I think he started in the top 5. Here comes Fretwell to the inside of the hairpin. He looks like he's got that one done, and also, is that Henry Nackery having a look at John Ludbrook? I think it is, and I think Chris Keenan might be having a look as well.
Yeah, and his Darragh, of course, the driver there as well of De Giannani, he's dropped again as well for the 137 machine. So either another slowdown. It did indicate that there was a crash in the race control, but there's contact in the background. Oh, there's some damaged cars currently at the moment.
They come through the front chicane. Oh yeah, there's no front end on that car. I'm not too sure who that was, but you saw it in the back of your picture. There was no front end at all on that car as they run through. It's just here. It could be the likes of Stephen Capebread as they run through, but Ashley Brooks, we're trying to pressure the likes of Chris Keenan coming up. We've jumped back up towards the front. Matt Hoyland is defending from you in Stitchbury here, and Joe Glass not too far in front. Joe Glass doing very well in the Evo class. Only man in the top 13, make that top 14 in the Evo class at the moment. So he's doing very well for himself. There are cars moving absolutely all over the road. There's a few drivers spun around maybe back there. Marcel Breitenbach could be one of them, but as they run through, we've still got some tight gaps here. Looking at Yannis Albert and Joe Newman, they're still close together. Piers Berry not too far behind either, as we see Marcel Breitenbach, one of the two Breitenbachs in the pit lane. Back up to Ewan Stitchbury, another man in that purple machine. But, moves to be made. But we've got to think of pit stops as well, Dean, because there's a mandatory pit stop in this race. It's going to be a bit of tactical when you take it.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. The pit stops that they're going to have to take as well too. As Maffey's putting a bit of pressure on Joe Glass down the main straight into the final couple of corners. Gets the move. Actually, Joe Glass doesn't get the move. Sorry, it does the other way around. Of course, it does get the job done. Maffey Holland gets the pass on there. That'll give a little bit of impression out there for the DXT Motorsports that's tuning in at the moment there. Robinson Racer said. Mr. Stitchberry, of course, is in the chat as well too. He's actually just behind that deal out there for that purple machine that you just mentioned there before. That's right there. So that's the battle. Still, Joe is not be able to do anything. In fact, he just did. There's a switcheroo. So there's an overtake. I just about to switch over to that gentleman. And Joe went straight past. Unfortunately, I cannot show the replays like we do when it's live because it just messed everything up. So just like that, yeah. Doesn't look like there was any damage on the car. Doesn't matter, we just made a mistake.
Yeah, rear end stepping out maybe. I mean, down the hill there, that little chicane at 3 and 4, it can be easy to lose the rear end a bit, but I mean, it wasn't even close when they came through 5 down to 6 and 7, so surely that is a mistake from Yannis Hilbert rather than an overtake by Joe Newman, because it would also be incredibly optimistic to try and send one there, but then again, very possible. But either way, Joe Newman leads the race here. He leads ahead of Yannis Hilbert and Piers Berry. It's fantastic for Joe Newman, but he has to pull away now. Of course, got to think of that pit stop. It's not over yet, far from it. 24 minutes or so left of this opening race, and there's another one to come afterwards where he may start further back in the order if he's in the top 13. But here is Paul Cowlishaw looking on the back of Christophe Demay. 111 machine, very much under pressure from the Audi, bouncing over the curbs there and getting very close to the Wall of Champions, but just not hitting it, which is exactly how you want to be doing it, because you want to take as much time as you can through that corner without taking anything from your car, because that could really disadvantage you through the race. But of course, there are a couple of quick fixes available to the drivers, just in case anything does go wrong. But when it goes wrong a couple of times too many, they will find themselves in a whole world of pain and might have to retire from the race. But then, of course, they've got the race to get it back under their belts. But there is some good fighting so far, as Jeremy Orlemans looks like he's fighting with Rene Stangl. So far, we've got the first few pitters at the moment. So far at the front, apart from the move between Newman and Albert, it's been rather mundane at the moment. But that's to say Albert will come back and Joe Newman now.
And Tristan's on the back there of Piers Berry, just a little bit for the battle for P3. He's got his teammate Luca Rishi behind him. Paul Cowlishaw's been putting pressure on Christopher Demay, who once again gained at a good start there 4 places in this race to be up in P6. He's going to try to hold on that one as much as possible. But I just want to see if there's going to be a run here from Yannis, who did put the car on pole down into P2 at the moment, and let's see whether or not he's going to be able to remember about the pit lane entrance as well too. So you're going to be off essentially on the racing line. You're going to be looking at making an overtake coming down into the final couple of corners right there if you are planning, of course, on going into pit road. Get advise that with the Wall of Champions, of course. Get your Sharpie out there and sign it if you get it all wrong. Haven't seen any car really get it wrong just yet, but then again, we do have quite a bit of time to go in this race. We're not even halfway through yet. First heat. So that's going to be a little bit exit coming out of the pit road. Should tuck in behind. Yes. Oh, that would have been a little bit of a nightmare too for our race leaders if that car. I think Nathan Hook did come out just ahead of him. Definitely would have compromised him.
Yeah, it would have been difficult for those front two to try and get their way through as well on that car. But thankfully, he's come out behind and they will continue on. But Joe Newman, but I was just going to mention actually that there are only 4 Lamborghinis in this race, and they are currently running 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 9th. So, you know, it seems like a good car to be in. There aren't many of them, but they are very much near the sharp end. As you can see 2 of them in your shot now, with Newman and Albert still tussling it out. Albert has not given up at all on this win. I mean, you know, it's championship lead, of course. First race, whoever wins takes the championship lead with them, and Joe Newman really wants it to be him, but Yannis Hilbert is not going to give it up easily. There's a bit of a tap there, actually, through the middle of the hairpin, but Newman has come off all right. He's not spun around, and if anything, may have gained a little bit of time on the German.
It's a wiggle there from him as well, too.
Very close quarters, isn't it, between the two of them? Another thing to mention on the pit lane, because you touched on it before, of course, with this pit lane, it's a particular pit lane, isn't it? Because the pit entry comes off of the racing line, so where the drivers who aren't pitting will be braking for the corner, you want to carry on. So we might see a couple of misjudgments, hopefully not, but you know, we've seen it in a lot of other places where the driver behind going into the pit lane can just misjudge it a little bit and accidentally hit the back of the car in front. But we'll have to see if anyone falls a victim to that this evening. Cowlishaw shouldn't be one to fall a victim to that. He's got no one behind him, but he's got Christoph de Mai firmly in front of him as Daniel Nans now is right on the back, it seems. He is going to be trying to get through here on René Stangl. BMW, they run through. It's such a good camera angle, that, isn't it, Dean, down the hill? Because it's that the little chicane at 3 and 4. It's so difficult to get right, but if you get the right line, it will really help you out through 5 and then into 6 and 7.
Yeah. It's always those turns that compromise before you get into a lot of straights. So then you're in big trouble, of course, if you lose someone that needs to be there. Paul still can't find a way past Christopher at this point. The battle for P6 still remains. You see Yanis has dropped off a little bit there from Joe. It may come down to a little pit stop strategy if somebody wants to do an undercut or an overcut on that one. Will be the one to look out for. Some of the drivers have been out of pit road. It's going back down to P26 there of Joe. That's the first of the pit stop. That'll come into play later on, of course, to see where they would pan back out. You can see the track map, how jammed it is. Our race leaders have a lap car, of course, where they have one of the back markers, essentially. They did come out between them. The rest of the field aren't catching the traffic just yet to look at any overtakes. We're just reading out the chat there as well, too, that's going on. You can, of course, drive this to get to witness and watch yourself driving on the track, like as if you were driving on the track, of course, just a little bit different. To see yourself.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird feeling, isn't it? I think it's happened. It's not happened before for me when I was driving, that's for sure. And it happened as a commentator. It's a bit of it's an interesting experience, but it's quite fun actually because you notice things you didn't notice beforehand, which is always nice. But Silbear, we noticed last time, and we noticed it again. Still got loads of pace under him in that Lamborghini. Joe Newman still under pressure. It is not comfortable in that Lambo at the front because you've just got in your mirrors the man who's on pole, the man who set the fastest single lap over the qualifying session on the back of you, and you know he's got the pace, but it's just whether you can try and defend from the pace and just mitigate it to your advantage. But Allbear getting close again, and Joe Newman defending to the inside, but Allbear going all the way around the outside, trying to tap dance his way there, but there'll be no strictly difficult for him because he will stick in behind and stay in P2. We'll have to see if he can get the run towards the final chicane though. It's a long way down towards the final chicane, but it is dangerous. If you're going to make a send, you really got to be committed to the move if you're going to make it. And Joe Newman is heavily defending that inside line, realises that Yannis Allbear is unlikely to make a move and will slot back to the racing line. But the last real overtake opportunity for this lap, you'd have to say, is down into turn 1, and I think Allbear's got a fantastic exit, and he has on the run down towards the opening corner. It looks like they might be side by side, and Allbear feigning to the inside. He's going to make a send, is a yes he will. Contact. To the inside at turn 1, there's a little bit of contact between them, but Joe Newman just about sticks it through, and through turn 2 he stays in front. And Joe Newman is defending incredibly well, but Yannis Allbear is very much keen to get through for the lead again.
He was not going to yield that place up at all, no matter what. After a little bit of door banging, he was going, nope, not on my watch. It's interesting as well, too, because Joe, when you see Joe and go off the racing line into the final couple turns before the pit lane entrance, you know instantly he's not going in the pits. So if you're Yannis, you could read that instantly, and if Yannis can take an opportunity to jump into pit road. So he has an advantage here, I have to say, of Yannis at this point by he knows when Joe's going to box. It's as simple as that, because if Joe goes on the outside, of course, onto the actual racing line, then he knows that Joe could go into pit road. We'll find out soon. He's going to come around, of course, without paying again. This will be interesting because it's a great blocking place to park your car on the right-hand side of the track up there. That way you've got to force your opponent around the outside. And we'll see at this moment again whether or not he's going to park that car in that, or is he going to move. It's in the middle really at this point, so it's quite interesting. No, he could go to pit road right now if he wants to. And there it is. So Yannis elects to go in. You can see that. That's always a difficult thing is too, because it's actually an advantage that he caught that car right there, because it helps Yannis actually slow the car down so that you make sure you get it stopped in time for the pit lane speed.
Yeah, you don't want any speeding violations at all,
No.
definitely not. But Enes Aubert does come into the pit, and the only concern here, maybe for the German, is that he may pick up a little bit of traffic who haven't yet pit, but he will hope to come out in a little bit of clean air. Joe Glass now, not pitted, but up to P5 in that Evo class. Very much having a good start to the season, of course. You get trophies for finishing in the top 10, and he might find himself having a couple. He picked up this for very cool livery for the South African Luke Lucchese there. It's some maths on, something a commentator isn't necessarily known for, but he's enjoying it. Nice livery there. He's chasing Tristan de Nobrega though. He's made that livery. It's time to race now though. And
Teammates.
it's a good little fight here. It's not going wide.
That was, that's Piers, is that? Oh, no, I can't see who that actually was for a second. We'll see in a second. That could be. I think it was Piers. I think that was Piers Berry, wasn't it? Because he's wearing in that same livery.
Piers?
Yeah, it is. It was Piers that got a little bit wide there. Because now they come into the clutches. Dropped about 1.2 seconds of change down the road there from Piers Berry. Joe's still leading this race. Where did... I'm just trying to see. Yeah, Yanis came back out here currently at the moment in 8th, and you can see on that track map, it's coming around the pink now. So, there you go. Joe goes in, Piers goes in, Tristan goes in, and Luke goes in. So, this will be interesting.
Yes,
once
they
again.
all
We're going to
dive
see
in.
now, where is the German driver that was leading the race? Right here. Coming all the way down the Casino Straight. It's gonna get it done.
Joe Newman hasn't wanted to leave it long, has he? On the undercut. Maybe he's a little bit worried on the undercut by Yanis. But nothing to think about as well as Joe had a free run at the pit lane. He
There's
didn't have
Joe.
to slow down in the same way Yanis did. So could that be an advantage? We'll see. Here comes Yanis. Down towards turn 1 and turn 2. Where is Joe Newman? He's coming out of the pit lane.
There.
And by virtue of cutting off that opening corner, Joe Newman, that's a massive looking undercut there. The gap was tenths of a second. It's now going to 2.4. So he's gained 2 seconds on that in lap and the pit lane. So a massive gain from Joe Newman there. And all of a sudden, he looks like he's in a lot more control of this race. Piers Berry is not in control of P3 anymore because Tristan de Nobrega only 3 tenths behind, and these two look like they're going to engage in some battling very shortly as two of them run their way through the second chicane. Of course, it's famous. About 11 years ago now, 12 years ago. Oh yeah, a long time ago, but yeah, de Nobrega close behind, and he's got time on his hand, hasn't he? 13 minutes or so to make this move stick.
Yep.
You've got the opportunity to try and work out where Piers is slower, where he's faster, and where it's easiest to make the move.
Everybody has made their pit stops as it appears currently at the moment. You can see on, right there, everybody's made those pit stops and it's done and dusted. And, well, at the moment, there was this driver at the moment. I just completely remember in a different class putting a pressure there on Christopher DeMay, who, remember, had gained a lot of those places at the start there. Now down at P14, has dropped 4. I just wonder if he had any problems with the pit stops. Or something went wrong, missed off track again. He's lost a bit of time there from how he's performing earlier. Let's have a look at our group tower at the moment. As you can see, Joe Glass is leading Gareth, but we can see right here in the second of the Evo class. So he's doing his best. I don't think he's going to be able to catch Joe. Joe's right up the road there. Joe's just in another class in his own. Joe knows that out there if you listen to Joe. Even though Joe said he was slow. I don't know.
Joe,
he doesn't want his
you did
bias.
offer
He
Joe
doesn't want to
if
be
he wanted
biased.
to-
Anyway.
Yeah, you offered if he wanted to join the booth.
Yeah.
Then he said that he didn't want his bias to show through. So good job. It's a good job he didn't say any of his moves, because he would have been up and clapping to himself there. But as it is, he's doing very well at the moment. He's 7 in the Evo class, and he's in as you said, a class of own in that regard. Look back here for Alex Fretwell, currently down in P27, chasing after Stephen Cakered down towards the opening couple of corners, but not going to make a move this time around. There are some liveries here on show, and Stephen Cakered's got a nice little one as well in front of him. But we'll jump back up to the front. Joe Glass then under pressure from Ewan Stitchbury in that purple and black car, but Ewan is really looking like he's trying to get through, and Joe knows that, I mean, officially Ewan will have a higher I rating, But Joe is holding his own at the moment up there, ahead of a lot of guys who will have a better I rating than him, and we might see his improve over the course of the season if he keeps this up. But as he runs through the hairpin, he's going to drop back there, but we'll also see some more fighting. There's so many cars, there's always going to be a fight on, isn't there, Dean? So it's just knowing where to look, isn't it?
This is a battle for, obviously, Giannani, who is in the class, even though it's not showing on the thing. We did fix that last week, but it is... Giannani is in this top class, is the gold class, essentially, so I bet he's battling out there with Matt Hoyland. Of course, the DXT, Mr. Rob out there is well aware of how this one pans out, but isn't got a chance to watch it all from our broadcasting perspective. Going to be a good battle here. Is it going to be? Looks like he might have lifted a little bit, allowed him through. His drivers have made a pit stop, so they are even Stevens when it comes out on track, so they are racing for track position. Well, there you go. So Matthews up. In still 2 places down from where he started in this race. More than anything, you'd have to give it to this man, Peter. Peter Cox is up 11 places and has made his pit stop. So, wow. Just came out of absolutely nowhere there.
He's doing a stellar job, isn't he? I think there's only a couple more drivers who are doing better than him, and I think the top mover, or movers, are Gary Mitchell and Robin Aston at the moment, who are both up 13 spots at the moment, and they're doing very nicely for themselves. But, of course, it's getting to that stage of the race, 9 minutes to go, where you're thinking about reverse grid pole, and at the moment, we see right here, Joe Sparrow, as I mentioned it, Joe Sparrow and Christophe Demay swapping positions for that reverse grid pole. Top 13 reverse grid course, and Christophe Demay is hoping to have a much better starting position than Joe Sparrow for race 2. Currently, he'd be on that reverse grid pole and starting with a clear track in front of him. Meanwhile, that's a bit of contact there, yeah. Henry Nackery hitting into the back of Robin Aston, it seems, the big mover up in front of him. Might give Javier Talavera the incentive down towards the hairpin. Let's see, inside line maybe for Talavera. He'll go for it now, late on the brakes. Can he get it all the way through, looping through the inside? 180 degrees of a hairpin, of course, nice open exit, but it looks like Henry Nackery has just about got that one covered for the time being. Don't count these two out for fighting. As you can see on the timing tower, there are fights up and down the field. I mean, Victor Brown and Matt Hoyland are close as well for 10th and 11th, just to name another backup. But there's so many at the moment. Javier Talavera will not be able to make the move into the final chicane this time around. But 8 minutes to go. You're looking about another, 5-6 laps of this race. And Joe Newman, if anything, he's pulling out in front, isn't he? He's 2.5 seconds the gap now.
Yep. No, he's got that one after that pit stop strategy as well, after getting the overtake with Yanis. We saw Yanis probably slowed out or something, or at least made a little bit of an arrow there and allowed Joe to go through. Once Joe's gone through, he's gone through. And he boxed that lap earlier. A lap later. He's boxed on lap 10, that's right. Yanis boxed on lap 9, that's right. So that's paid off for him as well too. But they're looking at similar pit stop times. In fact, no. Ooh, there's a little bit. Yanis actually, his pit stop was 2 seconds slower. This is they were showing in and out pit stop overall. So it was a 43 flat for Yanis, and it was for Joe a 41.79. Joe had practically one of the quickest pit stops amongst all the drivers. Joe Glass got a 41.87, so that was also a very quick pit stop. This is once again the overall. That's counted from when you enter and you exit, not at your stationary pit stop.
Yeah, absolutely. But that could be where the race is won and lost, realistically. I mean, 2 seconds is the time gained by Joe Newman in that pit stop phase. So there wasn't really anywhere else where there was a gain or loss in time for Yanis Allpair, and he could have been right behind Joe Newman, but as it is, he's 2.7 seconds, 2.8 seconds behind, and if anything, losing ground to the race leader Joe Newman, who is looking to pick up the full plethora of 50 points from this race. A driver who feels like he's a bit out of position is Henry Nackery. I believe he started in P5. Indeed he did. He's down 17 spots. He's one of the... he is the biggest loser inside of the top 30 at the moment in this race, and he's trying to recover some of those spots, but not having great success at the moment. Robin Aston is the next one out on track. I mean, just for reference, Robin Aston and Henry Nackery started... you're looking at 30 places between them, with Aston 30 places behind. But as it is, Robin Aston is the car directly in front of Henry Nackery, and that is exactly the kind of position changes you can see in a 45 car grid. But it's great to see, because you see some drivers who maybe didn't think they'd ever see another driver in that race, but yeah, they're fighting with them in the opening race, and they'll of course be fighting in the second race. Oh, that's deep. I think that was Daniel Nans going a little bit wide through that chicane, as we have a glimpse there. Actually, I think that's the livery of Gary Mitchell that I was pointing on, the caramel livery, which looks absolutely fantastic.
You said that
Top
last
marks to
time as
Gary
well
for that.
too. That's a very British thing. At the moment,
Yeah.
I'm showing those pit stop times. This is the actual stationary time that's counted there. So you can see 12.5 as to 13.6. A lot of this Thomas in P6 there, 14.6. But the biggest one's Christian DeMay. Look at that, Christopher DeMay, 21.3. That is what cost him. Remember those positions here? We were wondering why he's dropped quite a bit, because he was 4 positions, so 7 positions up at some point, wasn't he? And then dropped all the way back down to P13. So that's the reason. 21 seconds. I'd say he's missed his pit stop box marker and had to reverse up or something like that, and that cost you a ton of time pit road just to make it up on the track. Back, of course, to the interval gaps that we have between our drivers currently at the moment. And speaking of Christian DeMay, right here is on the back of Giannani Darragh, which is a Dutch driver. I think, seeing the flag. It's very hard to see.
Yeah, but no, it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, because Christophe DeMay, I mean, he's currently P13, but if that pit stop would have lost him a chance at being at the front of that reverse grid, I think he would have been absolutely kicking himself. But as it is, he's still got that chance. He's currently P13, but he does look quicker, doesn't he, than Gianni Terhar and Victor Brown in front of him. And here he goes, actually, on Gianni Terhar. Inside line, maybe, for this hairpin. Will he brake late enough to make the move stick? No, but Gianni goes very, very deep as they run through the hairpin. Can Christophe DeMay get the exit he needs to take the position? I think he can, but it's just about side by side as they run it up towards the final chicane. But I think the inside line will be longest off the moment, and realistically, the inside line to the final chicane generally wins out. Let's see if that is the case once again. Christophe DeMay, inside line for P12 this time. He gets it done, bounces over the curbs, and Gianni Terhar is left for dust there. He loses out a chunk of time on the exit, a full second he's lost through that chicane alone by being offline. Christophe DeMay will now set his sights forward to Victor Brown in P11. Look back for Alex Fretwell, because he is right behind the P25 driver, who is Paul Robson. There's a bit of a train forming here, isn't there?
Yeah, somebody's going to have to lift off through there for the World Champions, otherwise they're going to be into it. Thankfully, all of those drivers do. You'd see no real paint mark being scratched out there. I don't know if that light is being flashed and a little bit of frustration or not, but 3 into 1 is not going to work, gentlemen. Thankfully, they are lifting off a little bit. This is contact there. I think he got caught out, isn't it, by the speed he kept going out in the corner there, and maybe a little bit of a poorer speed for Paul. But this is going to be exciting here for these drivers. Going to see if we can get blimp cam to try to get an idea. We can't actually, because damn trees. Chop those trees down, okay? It's a virtual world. We're allowed to. Only
You don't have TV protests about chopping those trees down, to be fair.
only in the game,
but,
of course.
yeah.
Real world, yes.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. Gareth Newton, though, he's on the back of his train. He's looking to make some positions. I mean, if it all blows up in front of him, he could see himself gaining 3 or 4 spots here. But he's also got a very nice livery there. I could stop commenting
He's
on
a
the
boss
liveries.
man.
There are
Yeah,
some cracking
James.
ones, as we see.
There you go, James. Look, give us a
bossed up.
wave.
Yeah. Give a wave to the helicopter cam. But he's defending. I think he was defending from Henry Nackery, who is now through and up into B20. He was behind James Bostock in that bright pink livery. Bringing out his best BWT there on the carb. He won't get back through towards the final chicane as Henry Nackery
Henry
actually
goes
comes
straight
into
in.
the pit lane.
Yeah. Now he's
Yeah.
already boxed.
So,
that's
Bostock-
good damage or something.
Yeah.
Hard to see. Because they've been exchanging actually a lot. They passed each other once or twice actually on that squabble. James will probably let us know in the chat there. If they did come together, did get contact or something like that as to that. But further back in the field here, now we do have our South African drivers have started to claw in his berry for the battle for P3. If Giannis is to... Joe's got this one in the bag as long as he doesn't make any mistakes. So Giannis in that P2. More importantly, as you said before, that P13 place, isn't it? It's not a bad place for Gianni to look at starting the reverse grid race on. You would want to stay around there, wouldn't you? You at least want to put it on pole for the reverse grid. You'd probably be more inclined to compromise by giving that place back if you're too far up or something like that. So we'll see.
Oh, especially with the points bonus in race 2. I mean, you're looking at I think when I was having a discussion with James, I think it was a 30% uptake in points. So a win in race 1 is 50, and a win in race 2 is 65. So that's an additional 15 points, and it's reflected all the way through. I mean, even if you look at 10th, it's 18 in race 1, 23 in race 2. So for every position, you get more points. So, I mean, at this point, you could try and position yourself, as you said, to get the best possible starting position. But here we go. I think just in front of that's Christophe Demay and Victor Brown fighting out. And Christophe Demay take the inside line at turn 1. This is now the final lap of the race. You can see the timer with 3, 2, 1 left on the clock. And Joe Newman, he's lost a lot of time, actually, in the last couple of laps, Joe Newman. But he may just be trying to cruise his way home as... we see Piers Berry and Christian Dunnebrega. Oh, and Luke Chase in here. Has Luke Chase had a moment? I think he has. I think he's had a big moment on the exit of turn 6. We now see this is the battle for P3. Piers Berry, they're side by side into the hairpin on the final tour in race 1. Piers Berry will try and defend, but Dunnebrega will try and get the best run through that corner as he possibly can to get a nice slipstream down towards the final chicane. Joe Newman and Yannis Ulbert will approach the final chicane 1 and 2. Joe Newman has got 2 more corners to negotiate, which he has done successfully. He will take the flag and win the opening race of the season, but behind it's Piers Berry and Tristan Dunnebrega. Look out for the blue car. Here they are as they bounce their way through. I think Piers Berry just about has enough. It's not the best line through the final couple of corners, but Piers Berry will take home P3, and it'll be Tristan Dunnebrega in P4. Thomas Pugh looking like he might come across the line in P5. Then there'll be Luke Lucchese, who lost out there on the final lap, coming home in P6. You have to look too far back as well for 6 Green Glass. Glass, of course, top in the Evo class. So congratulations to him, because he then, of course, leads the Evo standings. And he'll be the only one in that top 13 reverse grid from the Evo class. So full credit to him. I believe he will start in P6 for a couple of slots up. You can see there the position gains in the end. But look at that. Ashley Brooks currently up 18 spots in the race. And even the likes near the front of Peter Cox up 11 from 20th up to 9th. He'll start P4 in race 2. That's fantastic. Or P5, I should say. It's a fantastic result for him.
Gary Mitchell as well, too. You can see 14 places there for your... there you go. Stops right in front of the camera there, actually, for a second. Didn't even realise that as they going to pop themselves back into pit road. And we can show you those results as well.
I said they are then. There we go. Joe Newman is your winner. 9/10 of a second. Not much in the end, but he did seem to have it under control. It was a Lambo 1-2-3 with Ulbert, and then Piers Berry with Lappenny Racing or Lappenny Racing. One of the two. They've done very well for themselves. 2nd and 3rd for the teams championship, as well as RDSA Esports with Tristan Dunnebrega and Luke Lucchese, the 2 teammates, in 4th and 6th. A couple of teams definitely to watch out for at the moment. Of course, Piers Berry was 3rd. And he will be very pleased with that, I'm sure, just about fending off Tristan Dunnebrega. Thomas Pugh was 5th. Ewan Stitch grew 7th with Joe Glass in 8th, the top Evo driver. Peter Cox, Matt Hoyland, 9th and 10th with Demay, Brown, Darragh, rounding out those drivers that will be in the reverse grid. Darragh, Brown, Demay will be the top 3 in race 2. Joe Sparrow missing out on that reverse grid pole by 0.5 of a second, and that's going to be gutting for him because he will start 14th, whereas the driver he just finished behind in race 1 all the way up on pole position. Matthew Jones, Gary Mitchell and René Stangl were in the top 17. René Stangl, the top BMW driver there. Daniel Nans, James Bostock, the boss man in P19, was the last driver to finish within the minute. With Robin Aston, Javier Talavera, Alex Fretwell, Henry Nackery, Ashley Brooks, Stephen Catebread, Gareth Newton and Dennis Collar in the top 27. And as they all roll through, we'll see Stephen Donnelly, Mark Robinson and Tom Anderson in the top 30 with Graham Matthew, Nathan Crook, Paul Robson, Jeremy Orlemans and Paul Cowlishaw in the top 35, Chris Keenan and Rob McKee running off the top 37. And then just the final finishers then in that opening race are Alex Koenraerts in 38th, James Rankin 39th with Matt Barnett, Hussein Saraka Desla, Robert Hamilton, James Pallow and John Ludbrook in 44th. He had to retire, it seems, 9 laps down. But we will... third from 14th down, that'll be your grid for race 2. Of course, from 13th to 1st, it'll be reversed. But you can see there the 8 choices for the GTs. I don't believe we have any McLarens or Fords. And as I said, we only have a few Lamborghinis. Of course, the car you've chosen at the start of the season is the car you are with for the rest of the season, so the drivers have to choose carefully before the race, of course. As it says on there, 9 rounds, 15 race championship. Of course, this round is, as we've mentioned, as you've seen, it's 2 races in the evening. Race 1 with 50 points for the win, race 2 with 65 points for the win, but 3 times this season, including next time out at Spa, and then including Le Mans and Suzuka. There'll be 1 hour sunset races, and the winner for that will get 100 points to their name. So, different formats for the races, and it should throw up some interesting races as well. But this is looking like it should be a fantastic championship. Of course, it'll only be Gilles Villeneuve this race and Spa before the Christmas and New Year break, and then we'll be back at Sebring for Le Mans, Watkins Glen, Suzuka, Mugello, Cota, and the finale at Bathurst. Indeed, a finale at Bathurst. If there's a championship on the line, that could be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I think we actually spoke about this when we're doing the live broadcast, isn't it? Because that is a track that, you qualifying is absolutely ridiculously important for that, because if there's a big pile up and down the mountain there, you got nowhere to go. It's you can see it's an absolute car park. It's a mess, and so you don't want to really be in the mid pack when it comes to Bathurst. You want to really be either start at the very back there or start at the front. I remember one time I even broadcasted for just a bunch of Australian guys that like to get together and do one of those Bathurst endurance races and stuff like that and iRacing, and I think it was the Bathurst 12 hour or something like that, and they elected to start in the pit road, right? Because their qualifying was, about 40, 50 drivers or something in the race, but their qualifying was subpar. I forgot to take the fuel out or something like that. Got about 30 or something like that for qualifying. They elected to start in pit road, which was clever because there was a big pile up in the mountain on lap 1, and they ended up gaining all of those places by not being, or the weather has already been involved in it. So when it comes, of course, to Bathurst, you want to make sure that you are. But of course, when the reverse grid comes up, you've got no choice, do you?
No, exactly. And that's going to be interesting to see. Of course, Bathurst, not a 1 hour sunset race. They are at Spa, Le Mans, and Suzuka. So, yeah, the final 3 races, Mugello, Cota, and Bathurst, the final 3 races of the season. There'll be some cracking races. You can see the grid there for race... I fixed Gianni's name there while we're talking. Sorry about that one. I'll make sure I didn't get it fixed because it was starting to drive me nuts. I apologise. I was going to mention actually because we were talking about race 1, weren't we? That you wanted to cut the trees down, but at Bathurst there was that tree that came down, wasn't there, in real life and blocked the track?
Or a kangaroo jumping on the track and all sorts of jazz like that in Australia. Yes, it happens. Go ahead.
Like I remember seeing that on Motors TV, which is a very old. I believe that was a British TV station. It is no longer a TV station, but Motors TV. That definitely means it was a more than 7-8 years ago race. But I definitely remember it happening down the just before you got into the back straight.
They call it Conrad Straight. I think it used to be. There
you go. Thank you.
Yeah, my GTR Skyline, my GTR 32 Skyline used to hold the record for that for a very, very long time, actually.
Really?
Yes, until of course the cars got a little bit more powerful. Anyway, this is your feature race, of course, and this is the grid for that. If you'd like to go through the reverse grid. I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think.
No, it's not showing us that grid properly, is it?
Grid for race 1, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yannis Albert's on pole. We'll get it for you, but there you go. You can see a nice little view of.
It's not showing us that, unfortunately.
We're getting going.
But we'll just go ahead.
It's not, but I can tell you that Gianni Terha, Victor Brown, Matt Hoyland are 1, 2, and 3. So you can keep that one in the back of your mind as we get going. You can see it on the left-hand side there. Of course, 14 down is exactly as it finished in race 1, but we are getting ready to start going in race 2. 30 more minutes of racing coming your way. If the first 30 weren't enough to whet your appetite, we've got another 30. Gianni Terha will be hoping it's 30 quiet minutes out in front, but will he get the launch he needs? Victor Brown will hope not. Christophe Demay is lurking around as well as they get this race underway, and it's not a great start for Victor Brown. Matt Hoyland, they've got a very good launch. Christophe Demay will send it up the inside through the opening corner. They all file their way through. Christophe Demay all the way around the outside. He's got his tap dancing shoes on, but will it work out for him? I'm not too sure it will, because Victor Brown will have the inside line as they dive down through 3 and through 4, but Christophe Demay not giving up easily, but he will slot back into line. Matt Will and Peter Cox and Ewan Stitchbury following in suit. Joe Glass in P7 as Gary Mitchell slips down to P15 at the moment. It's not been a great start for Joe Newman, although having said that, he gets out of Piersbury, or maybe not. Oh, but there's a spin there. That's Peter Cox going around. I think there may have been contact there with Ewan Stitchbury. There's a big crash there. My word, someone just absolutely centred. There's car parts absolutely flying all over the road. And we may see some big gainers here early on in this race. They fly their way through. There's a rear wing not looking totally right there on the back of one of the red cars. But it is the front guys who don't particularly mind what's going on behind them because they're not involved. Victor Brown, though, he's had a big moment. He's lost a couple of positions. And here comes Stitchbury up the inside of the hairpin.
Yeah, that was actually, that's our first big accident, really, incident that we've seen so far this season, which is quite impressive considering the amount of cars that you have on the track. So they've been very well behaved up to now. In fact, they're still very behaved because it's inevitable at that point, isn't it? Somebody goes around nowhere else for everybody to go. But Stitchbury looking to put pressure there on Maddie. Sorry, not on Maddie. That's Stitchbury. Victor Brown, of course, putting pressure. Maddie, of course, we're talking about that livery before then. Weren't you, Rob, there? Maddie's up currently in that P3 position. No change at the front there of Christian May. In fact, look at the lead that Giannani has already. But early days. Here's Luca. And battling it out with Joe Glass. And once again, Joe's always just right up there and backing up with the big buns there. Matthew Jones, of course, down at P14. He's battling it out because in their group stage, of course, the Evos and the Premier. So doing good. Of course, with that reverse grid. However, good racing, and it's heated up at the front at the moment here in Canada, where it's a nice, beautiful day in Canada. Not right now, I don't think it's warm. The virtual world it is.
No, it's probably a little bit colder than it seems. Yeah, December in Canada, not necessarily something that screams holiday to me, but it's nice to race in on the iRacing sim, of course, for these guys as they run their way down towards the hairpin. Luke Chasey looks very keen to get through on Victor Brown. He may have had a moment, we didn't see it. Victor Brown did lose a few positions on lap one and he might lose another, but not this time around, but goes very deep into the corner. And Luke Chasey might get a good exit compared to Yannis Ulbert, he's gained a few positions, hasn't he? Started P12, now up to P7. Not even finished with lap 2. P5 is within his reach as well. They'll run up towards the final chicane. Yannis Ulbert, the only one with any slipstream as they run up. Will he try and make it too wide? Surely not as they run towards the final chicane. No, he won't. Will anybody back out? Just about. Luke Chasey backs out at the last second. But it looked for a moment there that Victor Brown was going to sweep across and just take his front nose out. Christophe Demay losing some position.
It looks like he got a slow down or something like that for sure. Yes, he's got a slow down. He's because I just caught at the end of it. And he was going very, very slow. So, yeah, you cut the track a little bit like that, and they deem it. You know, he's definitely got to slow down to punish you, because he ain't lifting off the gas like that to allow people through as a racing driver, that's for sure. He just has to do it. Yeah. And now he's back on the power course, and now he has to be defending like mad. No, look at that. He's had to allow a lot more other cars through, so something is wrong there, and that's frustratingly painful, considering he was battling out that chance for P2 at that point, so... Sure, we'll see what's happening. As you mentioned about, I'm not going to show it, of course, for those position gainers and losers, because it's including the last round, I think, for that. So it's not really accurate. It's showing our race leader gained 10 positions in this race, which is not correct, of course, because he actually started on the pole in this race and hasn't moved anywhere. So I won't show that just in case it might be conflicting with something that might happen at the end of the race, because we don't know. What we do know is that Joe's defending.
Further back, of course.
Yes. Both the Joes are battling it out
here
again.
Yeah, I was going to say further back.
Yes. Sorry, sir?
Fast and Spa. I mean, it could be for a very good pole if it was race 1, but it's not race 1, race 2. So there's no need to think about that because points are everything at this point. No, I was going to say, yeah, but it would be interesting on the live timing to see that actually, if that is the case, that, you know, if it's a combined gain, some guys might be getting like 30 places. Of course, in the 2 races, that'll be quite interesting to see.
Here we go.
But we'll look back at the front because you can see here, I think that is the man who finished P2 in the last race. Indeed, Yannis Ulbert is up into P4, whilst Joe Newman is still stuck down in P11. So Yannis Ulbert, despite not winning race 1, looking like he's still trying to take the championship lead away from the circuit.
Joe just got overtaken, I think. Oh, yeah, Joe, look at that. Joe's got overtaken by 2 cars. This is the battle of the Joes, believe it or not. Joe Glass versus Joe Sparza, I think, and then Joe Newman. So this is fair. I didn't realise we actually had 3 Joes now in the racing. That's awesome. Good job. And they're all together on the track. They can't get the Joes apart.
Yeah. No. Well, an interesting one. If there was if someone was trying to tell someone to move away or something in the voice chat, someone says, Joe, can you move over? Matthew says that, then he'll get 3 positions because they'll all move over for it.
exactly.
But we'll have to see how that develops. Joe Glass though doing incredibly well still, but Matthew Jones is looking like he's getting a little bit more time in that Evo class. James Bostow as well, the boss man in P3 in class, as Joe Sparrow now fighting away with Joe Newman. Joe Glass isn't far ahead, back to the 3 Joes again, but looking in behind, look at that, Matthew Jones, Ronnie Stangl and Henry Nackery fighting it out. Henry Nackery, of course, started P5 in race 1, slipped all the way down, but he's still trying to recover as many positions as he can, and he's now up into P15, chasing after Matthew Jones at the moment. Still at the front, look at the gap at the front actually, Johnny Terhart, 4 tenths ahead of Matt Whelan, but the gap was 2.4, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So
look at that, because
really
Matty
started to come down. There we go.
Yeah, Matty out there,
Last
and you'll
lap.
probably give us that, Mr. Rob, out there in the chat. Look at that, Matty's flying at that new livery, that DXT livery. It does look fantastic, good on you. Matty's been showing so much more promise late last season as well, too. I'll be really, really impressed with sure. So has Rob out there, who, I'm not quite sure you're the engineer or whatever, you're the spotter, of course. He's generally the spotter, and he keeps us occupied and keeps us updated as well, too, with the information. And thank you for having you back here, Rob, even though we're not doing up the actual live correct race time that we usually do it. It's the only time you and I were available together to get it done, and of course we wanted to get it done before the actual race this week. Otherwise it's going to spoil it knowing... Oh, there's an accident in the background. Did you see that? Oh, that was... I'm not quite sure. Somebody lost something. I said
Henry Nackery, I
no
think.
replay, unfortunately, go back.
Yeah, Henry Nackery slipping down the time order.
Yeah, you're right, he's got contact.
It looked like a bit of an orange front wing, didn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, let's see about the battle there, because Tristan, so once again, our South African drivers with the RDSA, they work together a lot, and so Luke has already got that one before. He's already got Victor, and now it's up to whether or not Tristan can, and then you've got Pierce Berry there and Thomas just lurking in the background. So these, I don't know, these South African drivers you'll find this season, they are always working together. They like Siamese twins on the track there. They generally always pit at the same time together. They generally always run together line of stern. And if you want to call teammates, they are working teammates. But as we've been told last season, they are race on between them. So there is no real who's faster, who's the number 1 driver, or I am faster than you, Fernando Alonso situations back in Formula 1. It's just good to see.
It'll be interesting to
Fernando
see
was
if
faster than you or
Tristan does
something like
catch.
that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. There's just many instances, isn't there? I think that was back in a time where, of course, they couldn't explicitly make team orders. So they were doing it as code as they possibly could. But Piers Berry, he's not making it code that he wants to get through on Victor Brown, because he was making some very obvious looks, wasn't he, into the final chicane, down into turn 1. But it did look very tight, because Victor Brown and Tristan Dennebrega nearly came together, actually, at the final chicane. I sat back in my chair, because I thought they were going to... Tristan was going to swipe across the front of Victor Brown.
This is close between the top 2 at the moment, as well as this battle behind, because I want to see if we can actually go on board, because we're going to see 2 battles in one from the... Because I was just looking at Yanis's last time, was a 34.6. He was a second a lap quicker than everybody on the track on that lap before. Absolutely flying. Flying at the front, of course, is the battle between P1 and P2. There's a battle between P3 and P4. So it's definitely brewing up between his top guns. Matty's having to take it. Can Matty take it, actually? And he has.
He can.
And how is that out there, Rob, for your spotter, my dear friend? You must be happy with that. You're seeing your race driver at the moment taking, look at that, by quite a bit. Because now you've got this gaggle of cars for P2, which is exactly out there, Rob, you'd be loving to see as a spotter. Because now Matty's got the breathing space, because these cars are breathing down Giannani's tailpipe. Giannis has been absolutely flying. I'd say got the fastest lap, got the fastest sector as well too in this one alone there. Stitchbury is definitely here in this part of the party, wanting to join it. Then there's a big gap, of course, down to those South African drivers, but don't count them out, because they eventually, like last season, chip away. Usually they're the ones that are running at the front of the field. Now, this time around this season, we have other competitors that are putting it into the mix. It's going to be a good fight this season, I'd have to say. My friend, a really good fight. We're going to have... There's no real guarantee of saying who's going to be the driver that's going to take it away. No, I mean, there's so many of these drivers this season that can do it. So it's going to be a really good title fight.
And there's 15 rounds as well. I mean, you're looking at upwards of what you think about it. So that's you're looking at about 1,000 points up for grabs in this season. So there really is so much on the table for these guys to fight it out with. But there you go. You saw Yannis Hulberg making the move past Gianni Terha. But yeah, Gianni had an awful line last lap in that final chicane after being overtaken there. I think that's Thomas Pugh, it seemed, up in front, being overtaken, or it could have been it was Thomas Pugh actually being overtaken, I think, by Victor Brown, or maybe having a bit of a mistake there. But either way, Victor Brown, he is really slipping down the order, isn't he? He was right at the front of the field on the race start, now down.
Yeah, he had an accident apparently. I'm showing him race control. He had a crash. It looks like he might have contacted the wall or something like that, and that's why he's dropped those couple of those places there, because Thomas got past him, and Christopher got past him as well.
Does it say when that contact was with the wall? Because I feel like I saw actually on the end of lap 1, I think he clicked the wall of champions.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, this is on lap 7, but the incident, of course, we can't go back and look at the replay of that. I'd have to actually stop and rewind it, which would be horrible. We can't do that for us. We're treating this as a live broadcast, and because we have no idea what's going on. We have no idea, but we just saw that. I don't know if Stitchberry put his nose in a little bit too much there, as James said, he gets chopped off. It's going to be difficult because he's got to get back on, and unfortunately there is so many cars. You've got to remember that right now. Look at your track map. Look at the cars coming around the corner. He has to slowly get on there, kick back in, get the tyres, try not to overheat them too much, get the power down there, get all the dust off them, and then continue and just try to calm the driver. Because just like that, you know, you're dropping all those places. It's unfortunate, but it happens. Because look at that, there's you got the boss man right now. But James out there who's watching it in chat, James would have known that. Maybe just remembered going, oh, that's right. I was wondering where Stitchberry came out of. Why was he all of a sudden I was in the back of his tailpipe? And that explains the reason why there.
It did look like, didn't it, that Stitchberry got onto that curb on the inside and it bounced him a bit in towards. I think it was Terha that it came together with. Yeah, it just seemed a bit confusing. It's a horrible place to spin into down. Because like you said, you're just getting yourself back onto the racing line. It's almost impossible to put yourself back onto the track safely. Thomas Pugh is the first pitter in the top, 20-30 in this race so far.
Yeah,
a little
Joe
bit later
Newman
than we saw in race 1, nearly halfway through.
Joe boxed early.
Oh, was Joe Newman? Oh, Joe boxed early.
Yeah.
Let's see how that works out for him as well, of course.
And look at this. Did I told you not to count out these South African drivers? Because they started to catch, and they've already caught here. The Quadras racing Dutch driver there of Giannani. So, fantastic, you'd have to say. And when you usually get overtaken by one of the RDSA drivers, you get overtaken by the other, because Trisha's just down the road there as well. So there it is. Well, he hasn't got it done yet, but he's definitely putting the pressure on. And as I say, Giannani's has been showing some really good pace this evening. And we'll see, because Giannani's got a statement as well too on this first race, because you know, you're looking at the two drivers here that were battling for the championship last season. So you want to make sure you're not going to give them a free ride this season. This is race 1, of course. So this is where you got to get your elbows out a little bit, not as much as you would be further in the championship, but you got to set statements. You want to set mind challenges to your opponents and say, I'm going to be not easy this season. I'm going to put up a fight. And he goes into pit road, actually, so it's not a bad idea, actually. And that's because he's also following Addison. Now, let's see if they're going to make sure they get those pit stops perfect this time, because you know what happened last time, right? It cost a little bit of time.
It'll be interesting because Yannis, but I think very quietly, Joe Newman has been doing very nicely for himself. Thomas Pugh was nicely in that top 10 when he came into the pit lane, but Joe Newman is a good 4 or 5 seconds in front of him.
Yeah,
so Joe Newman might stand to gain quite a few positions here on the undercut that he's done. He's come out in a lot of clean air and he's just been able to pound the lap times in.
Look at all these cars he's going to overtake.
Around the likes of Stitchberry and Brown.
Look at that. 1, 2, 3. He's just got past 7 or 8 cars in pit road already. See if he can clear. No, there. He almost got Giannani. Oh. He almost got essentially the race.
That's how big the
almost the race leader. Yeah.
That's how big the undercut was. I mean, Yannis Hulberg, granted, he's 8 seconds up the road, but he's only 9.5 seconds off of Hulberg. And when you think about it, Gianni Terha was, he was fighting for P4, was it?
Yeah,
P3,
around
P4?
That. Yep.
So Joe Newman is still right back in that fight once again. Undercut, definitely the right strategy!
No! That's on you! That is on you, because he's got to get off the racing line right now. Oh no, see, that's come out there on...
I do have to say, actually, this is the part of the race that we couldn't actually watch because that whole crash. We actually don't have a clue what happened in this part of the race.
No, we don't. No, that's what I said.
Really wasn't.
So Matt's gone in. This is interesting because I was wondering out there, Rob, who the spotter is. Well, maybe you've got that call up there and say, okay, we've got to come in. Luke has come in. Yeah, we know that the RDSA drivers do come in together. I picked that one. Pierce Berry is as well. So that's the interesting thing. That call up to say, all right, no, you've got to come in because the undercut's clearly working here. You can't afford to stay out too long. And that obviously could have cost it, definitely. But, well, more than anything, Yanis is coming around here now. Look at that. Flying into the fence, actually. Putting a little bit too much power down. I wonder how much that's going to hurt him. Let's have a look at our static camera, I think, at the moment, if we're going to see. There's Matty coming out of pit road now. But it's not... Oh, he might just have the edge here. Look at this. Look at this.
Very, very tight on the exit. Matt Hoyland has the lead. And Yanis Albert's got work to do. Luke Lucchese third, Nobrega fourth, and Darragh, Berry, Spara and Demai are still going through. We're looking for... I was looking for Joe Newman, but I forgot actually that he was... he'd spun around. I don't know what I was thinking for him, but either way, you still got the likes of Joe Glass inside the top 10, but it will be Hoyland versus Albert. 13 minutes of this race to decide who's going to win it. You'd have thought it's between these two, but Yanis Albert very much looking like he'll come out of this race. I'm not trying to commentate his curse anybody else, but he looks like he might come out of this race as the championship leader with upwards of 110 points if he can take the win off of the hands of Matt Hoyland. But Matt Hoyland, I'm sure, will be fighting tooth and nail. Victor Brown fighting with Joe Glass now as they run their way down towards the chicane of 8 and 9, just under the bridge, and Joe Glass not finding that one too hard. Victor Brown is in the top 10 once again. Thomas Pugh maybe his next target, but so much happened in those couple of minutes, isn't it? Disaster for Joe Newman. I can't believe I've somehow cursed someone in hindsight. So that's definitely a first for me. But yeah, they'll run through once again. Yanis Albert, that is going to be the fight to watch at the end of the race.
Here's the other one too at the moment for Rob, because remember Rob has 2 DXT Motorsports cars out that he's looking for as a spotter. Good call. I bet you your heart was going through the roof. Your heart would have been going more than 15,000 RPM or 17,000 RPM. I'm not sure the RPM these machines do, but Rob out there would have been, yeah, wow, just to get Matty out just in time for that call. I think if they would have waited one more lap, that Matty would not have gotten out ahead. That's what it would have seemed, because once, of course, he's got comfortable with his, you know, with the fuel load there and can get back in the power there. If anything, this is going to be a big push, uphill push here for Luke and Tristan, because they are 6 seconds of change down the road from that one. I'm going to pull up this pit stop times in a minute too, stationary. Pierce Berry, of course, once again, is having another little squabble here with Gianni, as you said. It's going to work out for Yanis overall for the points this weekend. He can secure himself even a P2 or a P1 because he wants a P1. That's no doubt. He's got 10 minutes to get it done. Welcome everybody for tuning in to Watching Yourself Racing if you haven't, or anybody else that's tuning in perhaps to watch the race that you didn't get a chance to watch because of our technical difficulties. But you know, thankfully, none of that. No blinking at the moment, and it's so much enjoyable to watch it like that. And it's actually fantastic and exciting. I'm on the edge of my seat. I have no idea. Once again, we have no idea who done it. I mean, only you drivers out there know who won, but of course, no spoilers alert. We don't know, and we want to keep it that way for the fans out there that also don't know.
There are 10 minutes to go here, and anything can happen in these last 10 minutes. I think he's buried. He got spun around by Gianni there in the hairpin, but you're right, a little bit of a tap, not too much heavy contact. And in the end, just a bit of a love tap. He's buried very close to the wall there. I think you're bringing up that stop time. Is that in the pit lane? Shows that there were some very quick pit stops for Joe Newman. Look at again, 12.7 seconds for Joe Newman. Station,
yeah, but Matty,
it was a slow pit stop for like
14.3 for Matty. That was almost a second slower than some of the other drivers, so I still managed to get out in P1 with that one. It was very, very impressive. Sometimes that's not always 100% accurate, but you can let us know out there at the moment, Mr. Rob, if it was. That's the good thing about having your spotter, okay, the engineer out there, because you can actually tell us. I wish more drivers, if they do have the opportunity to do that, would tell us that, because it's good getting that inside information during races. We had an accident, I think.
I've just read in the chat, actually. I've just read in the chat that I think Matt always put himself a young superstar. we'll leave that up to the jury. But he's doing incredibly well in this race, currently P1, and will take home, you'd think, a top 5 championship position if it were to stay this way. The Caramel Wafer is defending for new and Stitchbury here, defending nicely. Hopefully his car won't be made into a paper aeroplane by the end of this one, because he'll keep it out of the fence. But Ewan Stitchbury is looking to make the move. P14 then for Stitchbury, and it looks like Gary Mitchell will be having Paul Cowlishaw on the back of him shortly.
And Joe Newman is here's the Joe battle again. Joe in P11, Joe Newman in P12. Where's the other Joe? Wait, come on, Joe. Where's the other Joe? We need the other third.
Yeah, he's stolen a march
yeah.
from the other two.
That's right, there he is. So there's the Joes. And he's got Thomas, actually, which we're going to go up to that one. This is, remember, they're pit stops as well, too. They gambled, remember, and they took those pit stops earlier. So Thomas took an earlier pit stop. He took it on lap 8. Lap 9, Joe did, the Joe up the road from him. Yanis was also, that's in P2, took it on lap 9, and then that late pit stop you saw there from Matt Hoyland, Luca, Tristan, and so forth was on lap 10. I'm seeing some crash indications. I think that's way further back. It should not affect these drivers. Stitchbury now with an opportunity on the back there of Joe. We saw that Joe probably would have had a little bit more of an opportunity, wouldn't he, have been a bit further up there if he didn't have that little spin that we caught right on camera there. Cursed by yourself. That was on you.
I apologise for that. A hindsight curse is something that I have never done before, and I doubt I ever will do again. But it's happened. I promise that I didn't know that was coming, because the stream for us crashed before that had actually happened. Yeah, so I really thought he was going to do well. Like, he would have been up in P6 range as well, because he was right around Gianni Terhar, wasn't he? Yep. Probably would have been near Piers Berry as well. So that's definitely quite a few points lost out for him. But here comes Yanis Allbear. It's only a quarter of a second between the top two for the race win. Of course, there's not too many points between first and second. It is only 6 points between first and second. But the opening feature race winner of the season, you really want to get that under your belt. 65 points, a massive haul to have under your belt. So you definitely want to just pull off all the points you can possibly take. And Matt Hoyland, definitely the young superstar himself, looking to take home 65 for himself. But Yanis Allbear, he has been rapid all evening. Qualifying on pole. Race 1, just lost out to Joe Newman. And race 2, he has looked the class of the field. He started P12, but you wouldn't know it because he's ploughed his way through. And now he's only got the one final car left to overtake. But Matt Hoyland is not going to make it easy in these final 6 and a bit minutes.
I'm looking forward to this. Remember, they're in the same cars too, so there's no difference between them apart from driver skill. We did see in the pre-race that was broadcasted that we had last week. Was it last week or the week before? Confused. Yeah, probably the week before that, because last week we actually had this race. The Audis were looking pretty strong, and they're currently running in P3 and P4 both thirds, so South African drivers would like to use them. But then the Lamborghinis have been doing well in this track particular, because you've got Piers Berry, of course, down there in P5, also with the Lambo. And then you got Joe Newman, of course, with the Lamborghini as well, too. So it's just been one of those cars that worked brilliantly on this track. But you got to remember, considering all the tracks that we have to go to, you need a car that suits a good balance of all the tracks overall. You can see a little bit of the dinged up there on Yanis's front end. And not costing him any real pace. If it has, the only pace it's cost him is struggling to get past Matt Hoyland. So Yanis would love this, wouldn't he? He would love to have that, because he would capitalise on the most amount of points this weekend, which is practically going to capitalise anyway, but there's a little bit more to take if you can get that glory on the top step and taste the bubbly stuff.
I don't think I'm old enough to have the bubbly stuff over in Canada. It might be slightly different. I'll have to check that. No, I was actually thinking, because you mentioned the... yeah, there you go. I'll have the rose water. Oh, what a wonderful drink that is. No, but I was going to mention, actually, to James, it would be interesting, because you did mention the different cars performing well at different tracks. Well, yeah, it's a little bit out of shape there. It'd be interesting just to see if you took the top, if you took the top 3 results in each of the cars and then made points for it across the season. It'd be interesting to see which car performed best.
That's true, actually.
I was just,
Yeah, James, we can work that out, actually, if you can put together, because James of course, but Bostic puts together all these fantastic graphics and stuff like that in the league. Of course, the boss man, a lot of work to do. He's sitting in bed at the moment, I think, watching this one, and why not? Have his feet up there.
I don't blame him.
And enjoy it with the popcorn. It's enjoyable, of course, to sit back and watch it. He knows where he finishes. James, currently at the moment, is here. So just in your picture there, battling it out at the moment with Gary. I think that's Nathan behind him there. There's Gary. No, that's just the up car. Sorry, there's the battle up the road from him. That's Gary Mitchell, of course, and the caramel sweets, whatever it's called there. I don't know. I don't have that in Australia. Don't have it here either.
It's they're caramel wafers.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
biscuits,
I've been
that's
waiting all race long. I've been waiting all race long for him to go for a small gap, just to say the gap's only wafer thin.
Well, you got plenty of time. This is only race 1 in the season.
I do, but if I say it now, it's going to be even better because you all know it's coming. That's the issue.
Yeah.
But he is still on the back of Paul Cowlishaw. Yeah, he's done well actually, Gary Mitchell. Of course, he's not necessarily been in the top 10, but he's been in the top 5 of that second class, the Evo class. And of course that comes with its own little championship, so he'll be very pleased, I think, with his results so far this evening. Go Glass as well, incredibly well done for him so far. Christophe Demay right on the back here of Gianni Terhard. Gianni started on pole. He's dropped back 5, but it might be 6 if Christophe Demay makes this move stick in the purple machine.
Space.
Around the outside of the hairpin. I think actually he's just taking an apex there, so Gianni might have just backed out. And indeed he has, and Christophe Demay has P6. Yanis doesn't look as keen to get past Matt Oyland as he was before. He probably is as keen, but he's just not as close. And the laps are ticking down. We're looking at, how long have we got? We've got 2 minutes 20, so we've got 2 more laps to go then in this race. As Matt Hoyland and Yanis Albert start what will be the penultimate lap of the opening round of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Season 3. Matt Hoyland is hoping to go to Spa next week, or this week, with a top 5 championship position here.
Can he hold on? 2 battles, of course, brewing at the moment. This one is brewing big time further back as well. And was there for a second when I dropped off there. But this is it, I'd have to say. Now, big pressures, but my precious, I was going to say, big pressure there from Matty to hold on to this one. Lap car should not be in the play. That's the Mercedes AMG safety car. Just, yep, exactly, providing safety to these drivers in case they get into a tangle. They'll be able to catch up there in the Mac. In the background, just that's Alex Fretwell getting out of the way. This is going to be good to see if Matty's going to hold on. Now, Matty, I think Matty Hoyland did a fantastic job last season, but he also made some mistakes. I'm sure that Rob out there is well aware of those mistakes he's made sometimes as a racing driver. Probably done some things you probably shouldn't have done, thrown away some crucial points in that. But this time around, this is why you have you have another season, you have another chance to prove yourself. And improving yourself by holding on what Yanis is, who's obviously outperforming a new driver this season. I mean, fantastic job, probably to maximize the most points this first race weekend. But if anything, he's got to do a part of a great driver, of course, is not just getting the overtakes done, it's also holding your defensive driving as much as possible too. That's the art of skill as well.
Absolutely, but there's only 1 more lap to go here, and Yanis Albert, he needs to get the move done as quickly as he possibly can. He don't really want to be leaving it to try and set it into the final chicane, because that is a disaster waiting to happen. I mean, really, Tracy will be hoping that that's what he does. Oh, it's Matt Oyland, he bangs the wall, yeah. Turn 4 exit. He's banged that wall, and that is absolutely not the line you want to be taking, and it's just giving Yanis Albert all the incentive he needs as they run through turn 6 and up through turn 7. So close to the back. They'll run up towards turn 8 and turn 9. The corners are just ticking down for Matt Hoyland. He's just thinking that he's got 6 more to go before he gets the opening feature race win. Make that 5, make that 4, but Yanis Albert, he's as close as he ever has been as they run down towards the hairpin. You've got to say this is his best overtaking opportunity left. Down here into this heavy braking zone. The 180-degree right hand. He's got the outside line. Can he hold it there? Or will Matt Hoyland defend? Matt's defending it. He should close off the outside line. He nearly does, but doesn't quite do it. And Yanis has a sniff. They are going to be Well, Giannis is going to be slipstreaming down towards the final chicane. Matt Hoyland's going to have to leave
That's
in the
gotta
middle
stay
of
in the
room.
middle.
But
Yes.
if he holds the inside line,
Yep.
if he holds the inside line, I think he might just about do it, because I don't think Giannis Ulber is brave enough to send it around the outside. Or is he? Let's see. The final chicane. He's going to try it around the outside, but he's going to find himself on the curb. And Matt Hoyland, he's come out of the final corner. They're going to be nearly side by side, but it will be Matt Hoyland who wins the opening feature race here in Canada. Giannis Ulber gave it a good fight at the end, but he's come home P2 once again. But I do believe he will take home the most championship points from this race, as he has totaled himself up a nice little total of 104 from these two races. Luke Lucchese P3, Tristan Dinnebrager in P4. Piers Berry follows his podium up with a P5. Christoph Demay in 6th. Gianni Zahara in 7th. With Joe Sparrow, Thomas Pugh and Joe Newman, the race 1 winner, coming home in P10. Just for reference, Giannis Ulber then 104 points. Joe Newman will have himself 73 from first intent, so he is a little ways behind after finishing in P10. Victor Brown and then Joe Glass, the winner of the Evo class once again, but he wasn't far ahead of Matthew Jones with Ewan Stitchbury, Gary Mitchell, James Bostock, Nathan Crook, with Paul Colashaw, Paul Robson, and then Robert Hamilton will be your top 20. What a race in the end that was, Dean. It was really, at the final chicane, it was one for Matt Hoyland, but Giannis Ulber nearly pulled it off there at the...
He gave it everything, didn't he?
Champions.
He gave it absolutely everything Giannis did. And granted, both drivers was good wheel-to-wheel racing. There was enough space. It was really good. I remember saying it's all down to the race engineer out there. Well, perhaps, as I think there's that many doing burnouts or something like that. Somebody was, and why not celebrate that one? Yeah, there's a lot, but it's good wheel to. I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of this season's going to produce with all these drivers, of course, because you are going to see the likes of the South African drivers. Piers Berry, of course, is going to be doing that. We saw a fantastic run, didn't we, from Thomas Blau. Joe Newman is a good one to look out for. Joe Glass, of course, is out of his class at the moment, just racing with everybody. James Bolstick actually did a fantastic job too, the boss man. So there is a lot of motor racing to come from some of this. Christopher Demay, forgot about that. Giannani, remember? The Dutch driver that's come in this season as well too, showing lots of promises. So yeah, that trophy is nowhere near being engraved by anybody just yet. Here is your feature race results. If you'd like to go over, please.
I have to say, as a stats nerd, the fact that we have so many points is fantastic, because when it comes towards the end of the season, there's going to be so many permutations on titles for any number of drivers. It's going to be cracking. I can't wait for the next couple of months. But it's Matt Hoyland who wins out. Giannis Ulber, 1/10 of a second is the winning margin between the two Lamborghinis. Lamborghini 1-2-3 in the first race, 1-2-5 in the second race. Not a bad car for this track. Lucchese, Tristan Dinnebrager, the two South Africans together in 3rd and 4th, with Christoph Demay in 6th. Gianni Zahara, Joe Sparrow and Thomas Pugh, with Joe Newman, the race 1 winner, only coming home in P10 after that spin, but could have been so much more for him. Victor Brown with Joe Glass, Matthew Jones, Ewan Stitchbury, Gary Mitchell, James Bostock, the boss man, and Nathan Crook, the top 17. James Bostock actually making up last few positions in that race. Paul Colashaw, Paul Robson, Robert Hamilton in the top 20, with Daniel Nance, Stephen Cakebread, James Rankin, Ronnie Stangl, Rob McKee, John Woodbrook, and Ashley Brooks in the top 27. Bit of a tighter field than it was in race 1. Of course, you would expect that a little bit. Gareth Newton, Dennis Collar, Chris Keenan, Mark Robinson in the top 31. Alex Conrad, Stephen Donnelly, Hussein Sarakadesla, Alex Fretwell, Javier Talavera, Graham Matthew in the top 30. I'm very proud, actually, that I've just said Sarakadesla the first time. James Palo, Robin Aston, Jeremy Allemans, Henry Nakari, Matt Barnett, Tom Anderson, and Peter Cox. Those guys there, they may have been caught up in early lap collisions, because they are looking like they didn't finish the race, and Peter Cox definitely didn't. 17 laps down in the end. But fantastic opening round, Dean, and it just makes me even more excited for the coming weeks ahead. Spa, of course, next race, it'll be a 1-hour sunset race. 100 points for the winner in that one. That could be a big championship swinger.
I'm looking forward to that, of course, Spa. I mean, that's just one of the best tracks and classic tracks, and lots of overtaken opportunities. Also, lots of chances of cars have been fumbling together and bumbling all over each other, like the Formula 1 race back in the day, too. It was one of the biggest crashes I think there was in Formula 1. So that's it. It's unfortunate that we had to come back and rebroadcast it, but it's been an absolute cracker to broadcast it, because, I mean, it was just a little too frustrating, of course, on the disconnection at that point towards the end there. Just sealed the deal, unfortunately. But it didn't seal the deal on the race, thanks to James actually saving the replay there so that we could work with that and once again cast it and broadcast it like we would be broadcasting it live, as we have. Still working on those ideas in the background. It's very, very difficult to test for things like that because I can put 60 something AI cars on a track there and have them, run it over and over again on my computer. Not a problem with all the software and everything. Yet when it's a little bit different, I'm still working behind the scenes to try to figure it out. May have to, if anything, swap it out so that James Parfit himself has to do the broadcasting for this. For some whatever reason, I don't know. We still can't figure it out, but he's also casting other things at the same time. So we're still trying to work out a background, but the idea is just to get sure that we have these broadcasts to the best of the JPB broadcaster network, because the Evolution Racing Sim put on a fantastic series, and we need to make sure that we put it on to the best of our ability as a broadcaster network. So any last words, Sam? We'll wrap it up.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, I was going to say that if that wasn't enough, of course, you've only got another 3 days to wait for the next race. Of course, it'll be at Spa, as we mentioned, the 1 hour race, and it will be Yannis Ulbe who will attend that race as the championship leader. There are so many drivers who will filter their way through. The likes of Luke Chase and Tristan de Nobrega. I mean, Tristan de Nobrega, I think he's picked up 2 P4s himself. He's got the 83 points, I believe, so he is kicking around there. I think he's ahead of Joe Newman, who won race 1. So with the point system, there are so many drivers who are involved. Piers Berry as well, 3rd and 5th. He's picked up a nice haul of points. That's 83 for him. So it's going to be exciting to see who comes out on top on Thursday night when we attend Spa-Francorchamps. But I hope you've enjoyed this evening's action around the circuit. Gilles Villeneuve. I've been Darragh Thacker. Thanks to Dean Biggles for pressing on the buttons and joining alongside me. It's been a fantastic evening, but we'll see you once again on Thursday night when the Evolution Sim Racing is back at Spa for round 2.